Good morning, everyone. Places, please. Get your coffee. How did we do yesterday? Yes? During the lunch session, we're going to try a little interactive session with you guys to give us feedback and ideas for next year's conference. So watch for that. We'll have some fun with that. We have, I believe, a pretty amazing little group of sessions and schedules for you today as well. So we're hoping that we continue what we started yesterday. By the way, those of you that sat in Kevin's session, the security session, I spoke with him afterwards, and he apparently has a bunch of training videos on how to use some of those hacker tools that he was talking about. So watch for the Fran Social post on this. I'm going to go find all this stuff and post it up on Fran Social, because I know a lot of people were thinking, okay, I want to do this, but where do I start? So he's got some great resources that I'll post in Fran Social. This morning's session is going to start with something that I think a lot of us are either actively attempting to understand or want to understand, or some of us maybe already understand, and that is how to use video in all of its different forms for all of the different things that we are trying to do as brands, whether it's franchise development, consumer marketing, those kinds of things. So we are fortunate to have one of the smarter folks at Google, from what I've been told, when it comes to YouTube. Shell says she's the YouTube genius. It's Cecelia Choi. She's a partner manager at Google, so she's one of the two. Shell and her are the primary contacts and representatives, or the ones that are tasked with the franchising community. So you've probably seen them at a few of the events around. She focuses on driving growth for franchise and real estate partners that provide digital marketing solutions for the long tail of SMBs, and partners closely with the International Franchise Association, obviously with all of Google's interactions. So she's been with Google since 2010, and prior to that she was with the policy department at AdSense. So she certainly has a much better understanding of the franchising space, having been to convention and now a couple of other conferences. So with no further ado, Cece, would you come up and wow us on our, oh, what did I do? While I show you, and this is Cece's schedule.
Hello, testing. All right. So now that you've had a good look at my week, I think I turned it off. Yeah. You can see that I've been on the road for quite a bit. All right. Okay, so we can get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Cece, and I work at Google. And I've been working with franchise for not too long, actually, since the beginning of this year. And I've attended IFA, attended Unconference, and now I'm here at FranTech. So starting to get a little bit better understanding of what you guys do in your sort of day-to-day challenges, your questions, and the topics that are top of mind. So I'm here to talk about Google's perspective on YouTube as it relates to digital marketing for franchising. And I've been giving Ken a very, very difficult time for the past few days for intentionally not telling me that this would be at 8:30 in the morning on Friday. But hopefully this will be a good kickstart to your day, and you'll find some of the content interesting, if not relevant. So I'm excited to be here today because I'm a huge fan of YouTube. I like to consider myself part of that YouTube generation as a consumer, as a contributor. And I think YouTube is such an interesting and unique platform for franchising because it addresses both a branding and local component that has presented so many marketing challenges for many of you in this room today. And I think the top question that I get from a lot of advertisers and a lot of users is video the right medium for a small, medium business with a limited budget, and can it actually produce measurable, targeted, and direct results for my business? And so my goal is to share some trends about the YouTube landscape, talk to you about who is the audience on YouTube, and sort of demystify some misconceptions about YouTube trends, how people are searching, how people are interacting with this platform. And most importantly, I'd like to relate it back to you and me as a consumer and an advertiser. So I'm going to start off with some relatively well-known facts about the sheer reach of YouTube as a platform in terms of just viewership alone. So you can see that the 1 billion unique users every month is sort of a staggering figure in itself, and the 1 billion is highlighted. But actually, I think the fact that it's unique users, so that's 1 billion new users that actually come to YouTube every single month, is actually more astounding to me than the 1 billion figure itself. So what does that mean, 1 billion unique users? Well, that equates to about 800 million visits a month. And you think about that on a daily basis, that's 4 billion views a day. Now let's equate it back to time. That's over 6 billion hours on YouTube is being watched every month. So that's almost an hour for every person on this earth. Now let's think about content. 100 hours of new content is being uploaded to the YouTube platform every single minute. 100 hours. And YouTube, when you think about it, when you equate it back to TV, it actually reaches more adults in the US, ages 18 to 34, than any other cable network. Are these facts relatively new to you, or are most people pretty familiar? Okay. So since its inception in 2006, YouTube has become not just a home for online video, but the home for online video. And it ranks as the second most popular search engine after Google.com, of course. Now, with 1 billion unique visitors, that makes it not only the largest site on the Google Content Network, but actually the 4th largest site on the internet. Can anyone name the first top 3 sites? Just throw them out there. Google, Facebook. YouTube is number 4. Really? It's actually Twitter. Yeah. So Google, Facebook, Twitter, and then YouTube. So we already know that online video has already become mainstream media. But what do the numbers tell us? Well, 2013, 160 million Americans were consuming video online. And that makes up 70% of internet users. And when they're viewing, I like to think about how I use Wikipedia. I start searching about, I don't know, Henry VIII, and then I start reading, I end up an hour later reading about the history of the Kumquat. So I think with YouTube it's the same way. You can never just watch one video. You're typically watching multiple videos a session, leading to billions of video playbacks each and every month. And I think this is actually very surprising. More people spend more time watching online video than actually checking their email. Although I would really love to do a study on how that actually compares to employees at Google, because we spend a lot of time on email. So people are watching 13 billion videos on YouTube a month, vastly outpacing its top 3 competitors in the space, which is MSN, AOL, and Yahoo. But the more important question is not just quantity, but quality. And quality for video means engagement and watch time. So actually, users are spending 25x more time on YouTube than on its top 3 competitors combined. And based on how much time people spend watching these videos, these are people that are most likely considered non-heavy TV viewers and the type of audience that you can target if you know who your customer is. So who's watching this content online? Well, nearly everyone. How many of you are actually an avid YouTube user today? Okay, almost nearly all of the audience. The common misconception is that YouTube is for teenagers, but it's become so much more than that. YouTube is actually a destination for any and all online users. In the US, this is actually split evenly between males and females. And we actually have as many consumers over the age of 25 as we do under the age of 25. And they're watching a lot of content. So our audience is not just large, but it spans demographics, and you have the ability to hone in on a specific demographic that you are targeting. And so no matter who they are, if your customer is online, they are also on YouTube. Now, that customer is not just on YouTube, just watching videos, but they're also highly engaged. They're not just passing through. Internet users spend 5% more time on YouTube than any other site on the Google Content Network. Now, what this means for our advertisers is that their content gets noticed. Users are not scrolling past their content on their way to another site, and your ad is not just one link out of 10 on a search page or on the content network. Your ad is prominently featured on or around premier content on YouTube, or it's actually the content itself. And I'll dig a little bit deeper into what that means. So why is this important for brands or businesses to know? Well, because engagement leads to action, and it's no surprise that online video is driving an unprecedented level of engagement amongst users, with 52% of viewers actually taking an action after watching an online video. And that can be in the form of researching a featured product, or going to that profiled site, or sharing that video with their network as well. And so 52% of viewers are actually taking an action. 35% of YouTube viewers have actually purchased something after watching a YouTube video. So it actually leads to a purchase and a lead. Now I want to think about how this relates to us in the world that we're living today. And the buzzword that's been circulating the digital industry for the past couple of years has been this multi-screen, multi-device world. Consumers live in a multi-screen world where they're engaging with video content across devices. And that includes mobile phones, your desktop, your laptop, large screen monitors, your iPad, your tablet. And YouTube gives you the ability to offer a consistent viewing experience across all these platforms, and for brands to engage with consumers on any device that they're on. Now, you can't do that with TV right now. So one really interesting stat I'd like to share is there are 6 billion people on this planet. 80% own a mobile device. So that's 4.2 billion people that have a cell phone. So that's 4.8 billion. 4.2 billion own a toothbrush. That tells you a lot about our society today. Yeah. And mobile actually makes up 40% of YouTube's global watch time. So people are on the go, but not just only on the go. This is actually, this increase in mobile watch time on YouTube is actually being driven partly by the fact that people are multitasking on a day-to-day basis, and especially so when they're in front of the TV. I know I'm guilty of it. I've got my tablet, I've got my phone, sometimes I have my desktop, and then I've got the TV on. Anyone else? Same way? Yeah. So used creatively, these devices can actually work together as part of an integrated solution. So just to recap here, you have a huge audience that's on YouTube and actively engaged. And more importantly, that's your audience that is on YouTube. And this is important for brands and businesses to know and capitalize on, because you have an opportunity to be a part of what matters in popular culture and evolving content. Expressing your brand authentically and delivering real value to the customer requires being a part of things that really matter to your audience. And we're gonna start going into the second section, which is how do you get people to interact with your brand, and how do you capture their attention, and what are the ways that you can do that? So actually, I'd like to share a video at this time of a small medium business that I think has done a very, very good job using YouTube to build brand loyalty, spread brand awareness, and engagement.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Has anyone seen that video before? Okay, a couple people. I actually saw that video, I think maybe 2 years ago, and it's still stuck in my mind today when I was thinking of a good example to share of a video that's captivating, compelling, simple, and to the point. I feel like they have done a very, very good job utilizing YouTube to reach out to that audience. So now let's talk about some 3 key things to actually get people to choose your brand. Now, video is something that most small, medium businesses out there have not considered because of the belief that it's too expensive. They think it requires hiring a creative agency that has to make a professional video. But the reality is, videos are a lot easier to make these days. And with the quality that comes in the camera from your mobile device, it's very easy and simple and quick to upload a video to YouTube without the use of fancy professional equipment. Now, most importantly, video is a good way to tell your story and share a visual connection to your customers. And you can do that in the form of telling your customers why you started this business, what was the challenge that you saw in the market, and how do you hope that your business addresses it. Create a how-to. We see that YouTube is actually a tool to learn. People that come to YouTube to learn how to cook a great recipe or learn how to change out your tire, things like that. Or do customer testimonials of people that have been into your store, that have used your product and want to share that experience. So you have a short story to share. How do you share it? And how do you get people to find and choose your brand? And I want to share Google's solution for video advertising called TrueView. Now, TrueView can help you build your brand in the following 3 ways. It helps you find your most valuable audience, find the audience that wants to hear from your brand, are most interested in what you have to say, and will more likely take an action. Second, you want to engage with them. Engaged users are more valuable. They're more likely to lead to a conversion or a lifetime customer. Go deeper with your brand content and will actually share and evangelize it to their social networks. And third, building brand loyalty. And you can do this through remarketing for video, allowing you to continue the conversation, update your customers on new information, new offers, and just in general, remain top of mind for them. So we're going to look at step 1, finding out who your audience is. And I want to think about the challenges with traditional advertising, such as TV. Even if those who are watching your commercial are in your demographic and they're interested in your product, the reality is more than half of them most likely aren't paying attention. So how do you ensure that you're not only finding the right audience, but they're engaged and they're listening to what you're telling them? So I think these statistics are pretty interesting. 63% of TV impressions are ignored. I know I walk away from my TV when commercials are playing. 47% of video ads are actually abandoned. So all these people are spending their valuable TV dollars, but they have no way to track the ROI. Now, if you think about online as a great medium to complement TV, TV is still where people are spending the largest proportion of their time, which is about 40%. But it enables you to reach a very difficult audience, which is called light TV viewers. And we see that this category of light TV viewers growing increasingly because of this multi-device world and because of the nature of the society that we live in, where we're always multitasking and doing multiple things at once. And light TV viewers are desirable, and they're hard to target, but their online presence is much more consistently active, and internet usage is more consistent throughout the day. So you can see here, makes sense that TV activity is more prevalent throughout the evening, whereas online, you continue to search online throughout the day. And I really like this quote here by Howard Luck Gossage. The real fact of the matter is that nobody reads ads. People read what interests them, and sometimes it happens to be an ad. So I think about if a commercial is interesting to me because it connects emotionally, it's relevant, it provides some sort of utility, or whatever the case may be, it's no longer an ad to me, but rather it's content, and content is king. And you hear that phrase thrown around quite a bit. Obviously, good creative plays a role, but it's more than that. One person's interest is another person's interruption. So I think about car ads. Porsche makes great ads. For my dad, Porsche ad is great content. For me, regardless of the quality of the ad, it's just not relevant. And it's a commercial intruding on my show. So the key is matching the right people to the right ads. And how do you do that? Well, you invite users to engage. And this is where TrueView comes in. There's a quote by Chris Anderson, who's actually the curator of the TED Talks. And he said, if you drop the idea of ambushing people's attention by shoving videos down their throat, and instead ask them to view by invitation, you can share an idea. So it becomes much more than just an ad, it becomes an idea. And how does that work? Well, most people are pretty familiar with this type of pre-roll ad. After about 5 seconds, users have the option to either view the ad or skip the ad. And if they skip at any point before 30 seconds, it's free. So advertisers are only paying for an engaged view, where users have the option to decide if they want to watch that content or not. So you let users decide if they want to watch your ad or not. Finding your consumer is increasingly difficult in a landscape where audiences are bombarded by messages all day long, and it's a world of infinite choice. So what do they watch? How do they watch it? You give them a choice. We believe the key is tapping into a passionate audience, engaging them, and connecting your brand with those who are most likely to respond with what you have to say. So with so many hours of new video content being uploaded every minute, the question that needs to be asked is, how do you make your video discoverable? And I shared with you that YouTube is the #2 search engine after Google. More than just a search engine, YouTube is actually the world's largest video discovery platform. And one of the key ways in which users discover YouTube is through search. And that's why we look to combine the power of search with the power of video. And there's a couple different formats that TrueView can work. Most common is the TrueView in-stream, which is the 5-second pre-roll ad that most people are familiar with and are most commonly used because it's most similar to TV advertising. There's also in-display, which can come in the form of search results on the YouTube results page, or while you're actually watching a video, it can populate on the side as a promoted ad. Now, I think the key thing here is that it's one video. You have the option to distribute it across YouTube and the Google Display Network in a couple different formats. And it has one thing in common. The advertiser only pays for a true view, which is great. Now, there's a couple other levers that you can utilize to optimize that performance. And one of them is the call to action overlays, which is a text ad that overlays on top of the video. And it's a unique opportunity where you can provide viewers with more details and encourage them to visit your website or take an action. So what are the benefits for users? Well, they have choice and control over their viewing experience. They see more relevant ads, and they have free access to great content. And the benefit for advertisers is that you only pay when someone actually watches your ad. You have one video ad across YouTube and the GDN. You target exactly who you want and who wants you. And you can measure your performance with YouTube analytics. So 9 out of 10 viewers actually prefer TrueView advertising than traditional. So let's think about engagement and driving up participation rates. Now, it makes sense that when people have the option to choose, they're more engaged. And we're seeing from research that users are 75% more engaged when they actually choose to watch an ad versus when they're forced to watch. And that results in a sustained cognitive attention on the creative, which is longer-term memory. So your brand recall and your brand awareness is able to encapsulate the viewer in a much more sustained and relevant way. There was actually a global Google research study for TrueView, and what we actually focused on was whether TrueView ads actually drive brand impact even when they're skipped. Because you have that opportunity for 5 seconds before the user can choose to opt out or continue watching your ad, we wanted to see if that made any sort of impact on your brand. And it shows that the way that the study was done, it was we segmented 3 different types of users. The ones that always chose to skip your ad, the ones that always chose to watch your ad, and the ones that most often skipped. And you can see by the relative lift in the metrics that between the skippers and the occasional skippers, that's actually the biggest opportunity for a brand to influence their customers that don't necessarily skip on all occasions for TrueView. So let's think about insights and ROI and how you're able to measure that for your video campaigns. Well, once you've figured out who your audience is, YouTube makes it easy to continue the conversation by targeting that group with ads specifically tailored to them. And you can do that with search through remarketing lists. You can also do this for video as well. And this helps you reach your frequency goals and do so in a meaningful way by not repeating the same message over and over when you know that they chose to skip your ad the first time. So you can easily build a remarketing list with every TrueView ad by simply linking your YouTube and your AdWords for video campaigns together. And that way, you're able to build brand loyalty, brand awareness, and hopefully a conversion at the end of that cycle. Now, when you have all this data and information in YouTube Analytics, you leverage those insights to learn and evolve your creative messaging. So you take a look at the demographics report, and you can learn about the age and gender segmentation of your audience on YouTube. And you can see if it actually aligns with your planned target audience. You may find that you actually have a completely different audience on YouTube that wants to engage with your brand. And if not, it's worth diving a little bit deeper into one of these segments and plan your overall video strategy around that. Now you can view an overall demographic male and female breakout, and then you can continue to analyze a more detailed breakout by age as well. And then you can really download any full report at any data level to conduct a deeper segmentation analysis at a granular level. So there's a lot of levers that you can pull, a lot of data that you can gather through video alone. So I think before I sort of wrap everything up, I do want to talk about what are the metrics for success for video, because it's a little bit different than your typical SEM campaign. So there's three things to look at here. And number one is total reach and efficiency. So you think about your view count, the number of impressions, and your cost per view. Second, which I think is really, really important here, is a social element, which is actually, free. It's earned media. So your total video views, and if you have a YouTube channel, you can look at your comments, you can interact with your users, you can see the likes and the shares and the follows that you're able to gather. And number three is the valuable insights that you get from YouTube analytics, which is audience retention, traffic sources, where are your users coming from, demographic information, and a lot more. And finally, I like to leave with a couple simple takeaways that when you think about optimizing for a true view or video, these are some key best practices. So number one, make sure that your content is relevant and it's interesting. Number two is that you garner that attention very quickly because you do have a 5-second window before that person chooses to skip your ad or continue seeing it. Number three is shorter ads are actually better. If you can keep it to 15 seconds, maximum 30 seconds, that's actually very, very key because people don't want to be distracted for very long. And number four, when you're starting out with a video strategy, you actually want to target as broadly as possible, and that way you can create new demand and find new customers, and then based on the data that you find, you can tailor your strategy to focus on a niche audience. So I think the biggest takeaway here, and hopefully the myth that I was able to demystify, is that video advertising doesn't have to be for the Goliath brands of the world. It's a space that local can play very, very well in, and it's a space that is not competitive because not very many brands or businesses are doing it. When you think about a cost per view versus a CPC, a cost per click on search, it's pennies. So, and the fact that you're only paying for an engaged view really means that it's very low investment, low cost, low risk, and high return if you do it well. And with that being said, I wanted to have Ryan Vasper from Cecelia share a case study of a franchise brand that they have worked with and some of the results that they were able to get from a TrueView campaign.
Thank you. Testing.
Thank you, Cece. All right. Well, let's have a round of applause for Cece and the great information of YouTube. First, I'd like to thank the IFA and the FranTech and Ken and the whole crew for having us all out here in Denver. It's been a fabulous time, and we got lucky with the weather, right? It's been 3 fabulous days of sunshine, and I think it's snowing Sunday. So, you know, the opportunity with YouTube, I think, is really something that everyone in the room needs to think about with their marketing team and with their strategy team and their agencies and their partners, because it's something that is a real opportunity that deserves a long time consideration and a lot of effort to put into it, because the benefits really are what we kind of call a full funnel solution. So the case study I'm going to share with you today is going to address kind of that full funnel solution. So we're going to talk about the branding impact, we're going to talk about the direct impact, and then we're going to talk about that indirect attribution impact, which is a fancy term of saying, how did these YouTube campaigns grow the search popularity and thus the brand recall of this case study. Before we do that, though, I'm just going to start quickly with really a little bit about Cecelia. Cecelia is the only local partner for YouTube with Google. What that really means is that we're allowed to go in and buy those cost per view media for you across the Google Content Network and the YouTube. And again, that's targeting that audience that she mentioned. But the other thing that makes it unique is that the franchises basically get a win-win situation, right? And that is the franchisees get proof that their ad dollars are working for them at the local level. And that's what I think the Cecelia core mission is to build out a platform that gets your ad seen by the billions of people on YouTube every month, but also give the franchisees security knowing that their national advertising fund is actually working for them, so that Green Bay doesn't have to believe that New York is sucking all of his impressions or all his media out because there's more demand in New York than there is in Green Bay. Another part about, I think, the Cecelia platform when it comes to YouTube that really drives value is that corporate gets what they want, which is, again, that national funds driving local results, but with the brand integrity and safety in mass scale. And that's really important, right? Because we've all probably seen that Facebook page where your franchisee put a picture of their dog and their aunt and the van wrap on their front lawn. And we just need to do, the best job possible as franchisors to preserve that brand, because that is the promise that we're delivering across the entire system and across your entire consumer base. So it really is everyone wins advertising. So the platform itself, we call it Target View, and it's really based on three core elements, right? First, it's localized. And that really is about personalized and localized creative. So you may have a video spot. As Cece mentioned, it's not that hard to create them. I think the world of YouTube is excellent in the fact that it doesn't require, I think, grand production, but not that a grand production doesn't do a great job as well. Always telling good stories about your brand and about your consumers is a way to catch them, especially with that first 5 seconds. And it really does open the door for that new world of the first 5-second hook. But if any of you have experience with search ads, you know that Google gives you a better cost per click if the keyword that the consumer searched matches a keyword in your campaign exactly, and then the ad has that keyword in it, and then when they click on that ad and go to the landing page of your website, it actually has that same keyword in it and the content is relevant to it. They call it a quality score. And the more quality scores you have on a scale of 1 to 10 being the best, the lower your cost per click is, the better your ROI becomes. So the same is true with video ads, right? Consumers love to see their city, their community, their zip code, their area code, all these different things that make them have an emotional tie to your ad. And the franchisees really want to have that localized, we're a small business in your community, and we're here to make an impact. And when you do localize your ads, you generate that intense improvement. And you see it across the view rates, you see it across the across your click-through rates, and of course down at the conversion level. So leveraging that familiarity and relevance really is one of the key best practices in YouTube video advertising. The next piece is advertising, right? So you do reach all screens, and you do create a cross-device reach, and you also drive that cross-device frequency. As Cece mentioned, we all are guilty. It's a guilty pleasure, of course, that your tablet, your smartphone, the TV's on, and there's just so much going on in your living room that the ability to hit someone with an integrated campaign across television and then know that they'll see it on their smartphone and then they'll see it on their tablet creates those multiple touch points that really drives that frequency to the point where they're humming your slogan in the shower the next morning. The next piece of this is really about optimization. And you hear us talk a lot about the advanced segments, right? Finding out who that audience is. And one of the things that Cece said that I really enjoyed was that you should start broad and then narrow in on where that audience is working best for you and then maximize that audience. So YouTube doesn't just offer an opportunity to engage, but also to advertise. It really does give you an opportunity to research and do creative validation and audience validation. So those components really do offer you information that you can't go pay for in a 10-person focus group, or even a 1,000-person survey you did at the mall. So you really do get to drive, the buzzword bingo of big data, local big data insights from driving and committing yourself to a good YouTube initiative. And just like television, it's something you just don't turn on for a week and give it a good shot and put $1,000 in it. It is something that you should take the time and the budget to commit to, because what you'll learn from day 1 all the way to day 356 and on will be vastly different. And as time goes on, you'll learn more and more, and you'll be able to perfect your stories and perfect your message and perfect that brand recall that in the end drives that response that you want. So let's talk about a little of the case study here, right? So the case study is with one of the private beta partners of Sitely, Viatech, and the client is FranNet. They're a local trusted franchise expert. So they're a great case study for this because they're a consumer campaign, but it's for franchise consulting. So it does combine franchise development in the end game, but it's also about reaching people that want to start their own business and own their own franchise. They had 3 video spots they did, and one of them really actually dominated the other 2. And I believe it's because the message is about the consumer, about how you can take control of your future, your financial security, your retirement, and start your own business. So our case study is very new and very recent. Here's the details of it. So on the highest level, it ran for 30 days, March 6th through April 6th versus the prior 30-day period, February 3rd through March 5th. This was a pilot for them. This is the first campaign, but it did cover the entire United States, so all 42,300 and something zip codes. And we did an audience validation campaign. So we segmented it against 25 to 55-year-old male and female who had interest in local news, business, politics, finance, and all these certain elements that go with somebody that's into the business world and into entrepreneurial spirit. And the amount of topics and interests that get your video ads shown across YouTube and across the Google Display and Content Network are unlimited. I mean, you can find people that love fast food. You can find people that really care about lawn and gardening. You can find people that care about video games. And it's not just always targeting the audience, right? It's also about targeting placements. So if there is an ad about, this is a great example we had yesterday, we're talking about in-home elder care. If there was a huge 2020 segment that blew up the airways about maybe somebody being mistreated in an old folks home, an in-home care would love to have that video that's garnering thousands and thousands of views every day on YouTube to have their ad there because it's so relevant to the story. Because there's this issue being shown by 2020, for example, and then your ad can be there to be the solution. So that placement targeting, kind of that TV style strategy where we want to be seen on American Idol and SportsCenter, and then the next Learning Channel great reality TV show that my wife makes me watch is. So you can really target all those and really hone in on your audience and really find them at that right place and time, whether it's on the tablet, mobile device, or the television. So anyway, with FranNet, it was a $10,000 spend, 30 days, and we produced over 508,000 impressions. And again, impressions aren't what you buy, but it's still what you bid, you get in return for your cost per view bid. And of course, as she mentioned, this does have an impact on your brand because of that 5 seconds. But also, we produced in just 30 days 107,000 views. And that's really important to think about because 2 things. The value of the view, I think, goes understated, right? It really is, I think, the value proposition that Google's made to the industry that is so unique. And in my personal opinion, I'd love to see the CPM video world eventually ante up to the table and go with the cost per view method because it'll solve that same problem that television has always had, which is who saw my ad? There's even an open viewability standards org that helps the CPM non-Googled inventory justify, did they clip away to another tab? Did they scroll below the fold? Did they watch it? Did they pause it? Did they turn the volume down? All these things in what they call VAST tags give you all these nitty-gritty details that YouTube offers you right through their reports and their data. So overall, this campaign, like I said, drove 107,000 views. And we now have a remarketing list of 107,000 viewers, right? That's 107,000 unique people that saw this video ad for up to 540 days. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to show them the same video ad for 540 days and drive them out of their crazy minds seeing the same ad. But it does offer the ability to come back twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, depending on your creative budget and your creative reach, to come out and show them a different ad that speaks to the same topic and the same services and products that you're offering. So to have that audience captured and know that you can get that frequency up over and over and over with different creative is an immense part of this opportunity. And overall, we sent about 3,200 visits to the website. So this is good stuff. This campaign also, and just to note, also generated about 20 form fills, and we're still waiting on the call tracking number because they're doing their own call tracking. So direct attribution, it produced pretty much 20 form fills and probably dozens of other phone calls. But working closely with the Viatech, they gave me access to the pay-per-click campaign that's been running since January. And the slides I'm getting ready to show you, I literally pulled straight out of AdWords for video. And it's just been 1 month, but they've ended up for a second month, and obviously this campaign is going to be ongoing. First, this pay-per-click campaign has it's really 2 campaigns. It's the generic franchise terms, so franchise opportunity, buy a franchise and whatnot. And then it's, of course, their brand campaign. We are only talking about their brand campaign, so the keyword FranNet must be in the keyword phrase that the consumer searches. Impressions are up 50% in a 30-day period prior. 50%, that means that people literally saw the ad. The only thing different in their media plan is this. This is the only new thing. Everything else has been pretty steady for a decade. So you think about that 50% more people of their base impressions raised in 30 days alone is really impressive because that means the keyword FranNet is getting searched quite a bit more. Next, clicks. Clicks increased 109% off their pay-per-click brand campaign. So not only did they search it 50% more of the time, but 110% more of the time they clicked on the FranNet ad. Next, the click-through rate naturally went up as well, of course, right? That's increased 40%. And I've heard a couple great speeches on this convention that this will get your click-through rate up 10%. This will get your click-through rate up 15%. Try these extensions, try these features. This is 40% because you're telling people about your brand so they can enter your funnel and then catch them at the bottom with the pay-per-click campaign. Next, the average cost per click decreased 50%. It was about $1.68, now it's around 81 cents. you're driving an increased return on investment just because people know your brand better and are ready to engage with you and check out your services and take the next step. And then second to last year, leads, right? Leads went up 240%. I remember asking the anecdotal question to the pay-per-click specialist at Viatech. I said, since we launched the Slightly campaign on YouTube, how's the pay-per-click campaign been doing? And he looked at me and said, it's amazing, because I checked this campaign the first week in, and the pay-per-click campaign prior to this YouTube campaign being launched had 0 leads. It pretty much had a big donut. And then as soon as you launched it, it had 9 leads that first week. So leads increased 240%. And the most impressive, I think, for a lot of people in this room is cost per lead dropped. So about $32, now it's about $13.50. So when you can drop your cost per lead 56% from one single tactic that creates a complete multi-screen integrated approach, there's just nothing but good times ahead. So that concludes really my little case study. I do thank you for your time.